Hey, this is Max from 7910, and today I'm going to show you how I made a drop by just using one kick sample. The following drop sounds like this. The kick sample I used is the kick from the Sound Silver's sample pack, which is now available on the website. Sounds like this. I started by creating my own kick with that kick. What I tried was I tried to create an attack by just taking the transient and just EQing it like this. Notice that many of the high frequencies from the initial kick are gone. What I did was I took a transient shaper and just put up the highs and took away the sustain. With the body of the kick, I added a dynamic EQ. I then had another dynamic EQ here in the low area, had an OTT, and then again some more EQing. Then I bounced out the body of the kick, added another EQ, which looks like this. Then I have a saturator to distort specific frequency areas, and then I have a compressor on top, which is sidechained to the attack kick. Overall, it sounds like this. The reason that it sounds so funny is because I stretched the kick sample, or what I often did in this drop was stretching, distorting, and sampling the kick to create cool and unique sounds. The trick behind this sound is the spectral gate, which is a built-in plugin in Logic which creates spectral noises, so to say. The secret behind this is Trash 2, which is, in my opinion, a really good distortion with crazy presets and effects, which you can always tweak around with. Here, I just stretched it, used a pitch correction on top with a really fast response, and once again, trash. Here, the trick behind it was the multipass, which I used, a preset called tight bands, and because it has this stuttering effect, I bounced it out and then just used one of the clicks which were created through the multipass plugin, and then used it as a percussive element. With some high cut, low cut, a format filter, a resonator to push the frequencies on the note D sharp, an OTT, another EQ with the same curves, and trash, it sounds like this. Then I bounce it out, processed it once more, I put it in mono, put on an EQ boosting some of the low mids, an OTT, a Sem effects plugin just distorting some frequencies. I pitched it down by 5 semitones, saturated the tom, and once again EQ'd it. And here I thought there were too many low mids, so I put on a dynamic EQ and also took out this frequency here. So as you can hear, it's pretty stretched. And then with processing, so with simple EQing, another format filter, also one of my go-to plugins to create more unique sounds, a resonator to give a more metallic sound, an OTT, pitch shifting it by an octave down, a simple EQ again to cut more of those lows created by the shifting of pitch, and a sidechain plugin, sounds like this then. Creating the sub and mid bass was a little hard because I tried to make it as clean as possible. What I did here was I sampled the kick. I used only the body because that's where most of the low frequencies are found within the kick. I put it in mono. I put on an EQ, which is more or less in the sub frequency area. Compressed it a lot, and then I sidechain compressed it to the kick, and it sounds like this. As you can hear, there are also some pitch shifting going on. So, as you can probably tell, there's a distortion going on. I made it mono. I did some simple EQing, put another distortion on top, EQ'd once again, took away the highs because I wanted to make space for the lead. And then I compressed it and then also did some sidechain compression. Here, I might have used a synth. Here, I might have technically cheated, but at the same time, it's still the kick. Faceplant, in my opinion, is a complex plugin, but I basically routed this synth into the kick and just created some unique sounds. As you can see here, I also have some processing going on. Trash 2 here is again the one which is creating the source. What's important to say is that when I use Contact 5 to sample, I sometimes scroll through the different sampling algorithms, and I also play around with the speed option. I put up the sample by 3 octaves and then made the sample slower. The main lead is again also the kick sample in Contact 5. With this setting, I wanted to take away most of the transient of the kick because I wanted to make the lead as clean as possible during the processing phase. Notice here that distortion is again playing a really important role, as well as the 4-man filter. Once again in Contact 5 with this setting and also without the transients. What's here creating this metallic effect is the flanger, which I like to use often. I didn't do much apart from just cleaning it up with some basic EQ, putting a reverb on top, as well as a reverb bus, so then this reverb bus can be sidechained to the kick. Sounds kinda trash, but with the help of saturation, distortion, OTT, some simple EQing, a stuttering effect, some tremolo, and then a sidechaining plugin, you create this effect. What was really hard to create in this drop was the clap. The fact that it was so hard to create the clap was because the kick has so many high frequencies and it has a lot of fizz to it. But with the help of multipass, I used a different part of that file, which I created the mini pack, and then I just EQ'd it, put an OTT, and distorted a lot, and then also put a transient shaper to then create this small click. And that's how I made this drop, just by using one kick sample. If you'd like to know any other tips and tricks, let me know in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.